The original Powerpuff Girls was, in my opinion, one of the greatest cartoons of all time, and was absolutely a massive hit for Cartoon Network. It was this wonderful blend of action and comedy, and it played on the juxtaposition of little girls being superheroes. In one episode, the girls are fighting off-brand Godzilla, while another episode is about them hosting a sleepover with one of their arch-villains hiding in disguise as a little girl. I mean, talk about a change of pace. But it absolutely worked. The original series ran from 1998 to 2005, though a few specials and spin-offs would follow. Hell, it even got an anime adaptation, which I still need to review. But in 2016, the Powerpuff Girls got an official reboot, and it was bad.
No, my gusta!
Now, I made a video on this subject back in 2016, when the reboot was launched. Oh, remember when my avatar used to look like that? Woo, lordy, it's been a while. But yeah, I ripped into this series and explained why I did not like it, which ranged from lackluster visuals and animation to cringy stories that completely missed the point of the original Powerpuff Girls. Now, I know that many people will claim that I'm just being a sentimental old fool who has his rose-tinted glasses on, and that I'm letting my childhood memories guide me here, but I wholeheartedly stand by my opinion, knowing it's based on merit and not bias. That being said, I got an email from someone a few months ago saying, "You didn't even watch the entire series. You based your judgment on like 6 episodes. You're full of crap, Saberspark." And I was like, you know what? That's a fair point. Even though like only 10 episodes were available to watch around that time. So I decided to watch the rest of the series, all 3 seasons. I hate this show even more now, and I hate this episode in particular, Muscle Cup. You want to know why? Let me show you. I hate this with every fiber of my being. I thought the twerking was bad, and I thought the jokes about outdated memes were bad. But this is an entirely different level of awful. When I first saw this episode, I couldn't believe it was real. I was like, this has to be a joke, right? But no, it exists, and there's no going back. I swear, the Powerpuff Girls franchise can't catch a break. First this dumpster fire reboot, and then the potential abomination that will be the CW's live-action adaptation. Oh, Craig McCracken, I am so sorry this happened to your creation. Come on, folks. Pour one out for Craig, because his vision has been violated to hell and back. But I guess that's showbiz for you, unfortunately. So before we get into the actual episode, let's talk a bit more about the original series, where it came from, and how it was mutated into this. The original series was about 3 little girls with superpowers: Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. They were created in a lab by their surrogate father, the professor. So it is now their duty to protect the city of Townsville from villains and monsters, while also going through the motions of being little girls, such as going to school, playing with their dollies, and beating up Satan. Oh, I'm sorry, him. Yo, Queen, you get it. All in all, it was an excellent show, with great visuals, characters, stories, and comedic timing. I mean, I still laugh out loud while watching it. It absolutely holds up. And there's no wonder why it became a juggernaut of Cartoon Network's lineup. I think it's safe to say that the Powerpuff Girls was the biggest financial hit for Cartoon Network as far as merchandising goes, though Adventure Time would eventually take that title. So it's no wonder why Cartoon Network would eventually bring back the girls over a decade later. But this time around, without Craig McCracken as a part of it. Nope, he's not here this time. He's gone. I think he was making Wander Over Yonder around this time. So instead, we had a new team, a new vision, and they changed things up and made a more contemporary version of the show that channeled the same energy as Teen Titans Go, with its writing and visuals and overall energy. The results? Yeah, not good. It's like this version of the show completely forgot its roots and what made the original special, while replacing all of the good stuff with content that doesn't mesh with the Powerpuff Girls. The action? Slow and boring. The writing? More hyperactive, yet feels flat at the same time. And how about the characters? Do I really need to pull up the picture again? Oh, I will. I will pull up the picture and you all will suffer. Honestly, there is a lot more on my mind about this reboot, and I want to go more in depth, but I'm going to save it for my What's Ruining the Powerpuff Girls video, which is something in the future I'm working on. But I want to wait for this live action adaptation to arrive first because something tells me that will be a big decider on how things go down with this video of mine. I don't think it's going to save the franchise. If anything, I think it's going to make it much, much, much worse. But for now, let's talk about this cursed episode. Muscle Cup. It's already off to a rough start with that title, right? So the beginning of this episode has a guy named Absman or something like that. And he's this buff superhero. He's talking about being a strong guy with his ripped body and how the Powerpuff Girls are admiring him, and especially Buttercup.
Hi, Absman! My name's Buttercup. Let's be friends!
Abman here is like, oh, you're heroes too? But you're so small. You're so scrawny. You're not ripped like me. To which Blossom and Bubbles are like, we don't care. But Buttercup she got a bit of a self-image problem, which to be fair, that was touched upon in the original series, where you got like Buttercup who wants to be her own hero called Mange, which is inspired by Spawn, that comic. But like at the same time, I feel like this episode where the girls went to go see these macho male heroes, they weren't bothered by being small. They kicked their asses, as a matter of fact, especially Buttercup. So there's a bit of a conflicting interest here as far as Buttercup and if her original self would care about this. I don't think she would. Not for the muscles, but I digress. So Buttercup here gives into peer pressure. She's like, I want to get buff. I want to get strong. I'm going to take this muscle supplement that this ab guy is slinging, and I'm going to get ripped. I'm also going to go to the gym and lift weights because that's going to help, I guess. Oh, by the way, there's this other villain in the episode called like the Gnat. He's trying to fight the Powerpuff Girls. I swear to God, the villains in this show, as in like from the 2016 reboot, absolute garbage. Not a single one of them is enjoyable. They all feel like low-tier trash compared to the god-tier original villains from the original show. Mojo Jojo, him, Fuzzy Lumpkins, hell, even the Amoeba Boys. Amazing, fantastic. These villains? Nah, garbage. Just put them in the trash. Also, acknowledging something here too, the comedy, and I said this before, doesn't fit. It doesn't feel like Powerpuff Girls writing in comedy. It feels more like Teen Titans Go writing with the Powerpuff Girls slapped over it. And to me, that doesn't work. It feels out of character, if anything. So Buttercup goes off to get buff, and we see the results. She's absolutely ripped. It reminds me a lot of the episode from Close Enough when Josh got ripped as well, but couldn't like even tie his shoelaces or do things that an average person can do because they're just too buff. Though I gotta say, it's weird seeing Buttercup buff, but with like no fingers. That's a bit odd. Trust me though, it gets much worse. Oh, and on top of that, you got Buttercup here looking like nice and shiny with her tan going on. Reminds me a lot of that one hero from One Punch Man, Darkshine, where he's like big, buff, and shiny. So I guess I get a bit of those vibes. I digress. So Buttercup here can't even fight anymore. She's too muscly to even fly. So like her sisters get captured by that garbage Gnat villain, and Buttercup's like, oh no, I can't help. I have an idea. I'll go ask Abman for help. So she goes to Abman to like get help from him. Like, hey, you're a hero. Help my sisters. And he's like, surprise, surprise. I'm not actually a hero. I'm a mascot. I'm here just to sell this muscle supplement. You're on your own. So Buttercup's like, what can I do? She goes back to the gym, which has like a portion of the gym that's like dedicated to getting fat. And talk about like 2016, right? Here comes a guy on a hoverboard. Remember those? And she goes with him to the gym and they eat a bunch of junk food and she gets fat, which is like, what? Like, it's to say you have to replace her muscle bulk with being fat and lazy and then you lose the weight with cardio? I don't know. All I do know is that when I saw this image, I was speechless. To see Buttercup in this state, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Like, I know the original show got weird as well. Never to this extent, ever. This feels borderline gross out humor and fetishy. I'll be perfectly honest. It's kind of fetishy, and that's off-putting. That's a little girl right there, and then she looks like that. What the hell? How did this get approved? I think it's funny how the show is like, we got to get rid of Miss Bellum because she represents things that might be offensive. But, here you go. Here's Buttercup and she's got, this going on. Enjoy. Guess what? I won't. So Buttercup got out of shape and came to her sister's rescue because the Nat guy trapped them and she beat him up. And that's the episode. It's over. Thank God we can leave. Oh my God, we're done with it. Thank God. Because this one moment just shakes me to my core where I'm like, this image fully represents how low the reboot went and to the pits of hell with this beloved franchise originally was brought low. Oh, so low. And you know what the worst part is? This live action adaptation that's on the horizon is like beating up the Powerpuff Girls while they're down. It's like, stop, it's already dead. Leave the franchise alone. So overall, this episode just confirms my original outlook on the series and how distasteful it was. The reboot is genuinely one of the worst things to be aired on Cartoon Network, and I mean that. Now, I have no ill will towards the writers or animators or people who worked on the show. A job's a job, and you can't hold that against them. But you cannot deny that this series was a dud. Again, it lacks any of the charm, creativity, and personality of the original, and instead offers stories, characters, and writing that feels so out of place from the original series. You could literally replace the Powerpuff Girls and their side characters, and you would be left with a show that is completely alien to the original premise and would feel like an entirely different show. Yes, it's a reboot. Yes, it should be expected that things will be different and changes will happen, whether they're good or bad. But this, folks, was just bad. And you want to know the worst thing of all? It's not even the show's fault. When I was looking for images on Google for this episode, for Muscle Cup, I made the foolish mistake of typing in Buttercup fat, enter. Had to burn my computer, had to destroy it. The results shocked me, where I'm like, why is this a thing? Why is it everywhere? Why the Powerpuff Girls? And dear God Almighty, why is there a YouTube channel for this? And it's called Kids Learning Videos. We got someone drawing these pictures and presenting it for kids content. It's even labeled as meant for kids, for YouTube Kids. When will the suffering stop? When will this end? When will my torment come to a conclusion and I can be released from this mortal coil? What has happened to my beloved Powerpuff Girls, and why won't you folks from Hollywood leave them alone? Please, leave them alone! I beg of you! Ah!
Newman.